and welcome to the Survivor Series WarGames review. We are the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamblett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened at this weekend's Survivor Series WarGames PLE. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with the Mega Quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamblett and Sidgwick to review Survivor Series. What did you make of it?
A mid-table WWE PLE for this year. Like, had a bit of everything. When it was great, I thought it peaked as high as I want to feel watching really great big-time WWE. There was some Turcarino flashes on the show. Like, you cannot get away from that. But like a good time, not a great one across the board, but flashes of greatness that just make me continue to love this current era.
Tell you what, fair's fair. And I don't want to start off on a miserable note, even though there'll be miserable notes pretty consistently. Saturday night's main event, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. That's a bit of me. That's a proper pro wrestling story. I'm really, really into that program. I think this match is going to be amazing, and they're going, by all reports, like very, very 80s, and that aesthetic's a bit of me. I really, really, that, other than WrestleMania, Saturday night's main event is the thing in WWE all year I've been most looking forward to. I really can't wait for it. I don't like WarGames, and the best thing on this, other than the triple threat, was the men's WarGames. It was either a popular version of something I just don't like, or utter, almost hilariously bad. Which I guess I'll probably start off in a good mood here.
Yeah. Again, I've got my sort of dog brain on here. I really, really, really enjoyed that main event.
Same.
So I enjoyed the show on the whole. And then looking back this morning, because I watched it on Sunday night, looking back this morning and seeing some clips being shared on X that weren't of the men's WarGames match, let's say. And I thought, oh, yeah. So let's start with the women's WarGames match that opened this show.
Oh, dear.
It was effectively what we call it, Team Rhea versus Team Liv, effectively. Yeah. The teams being Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley versus Liv, Raquel, Queen Nia, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae.
That's got to be a gimmick there.
Yeah, that reminds me, we got a lovely email from Matt Steele, who's in attendance, that I will read a little bit later on.
Yeah.
And
Matt Steele.
Matt has a very special surprise for us that I'm going to save for the two of you, possibly for our Christmas special.
Ooh.
That's all I'll say on that for now. But yes, women's WarGames to open the show, and I think this laid bare what Sid alluded to.
It laid an egg.
With regards to the
Thanksgiving tradition, if anything, in the WWE.
With regards to the issues that a WarGames match has, and I think the moment that they started coming in and immediately going, we need weapons, we need multicolored kendo sticks, we need a toilet seat. I forgot where that came from.
How ironic.
All the chairs and all that sort of thing. Yes, the Io Sky bin spot, obviously, and that combined with the awesome Tiffany Stratton jump off the top as well.
How long did this match go per Wikipedia?
38 minutes and 15 seconds.
So 38 minutes and 10 seconds if it were terrible.
Here's the thing on this, right? I think on the preview, me skewing, not positive, because it's WarGames, I tend to be not positive on WarGames, but looking for things I was looking for in this match, and then Sige skewing negative and saying it's going to be a lot of boring WWE plunder just that happens to be within a double cage. It was pretty much this match, wasn't it?
No, it's worse than that.
I got...
far worse.
I got a...
Unacceptably bad.
Like a series of little capital M moments, which is sort of capitalizing on where a lot of these characters are at, that I thought, if you actually didn't watch the action, you'd probably consider this a success. If you read the review of this match, and the reviewer does not go into detail about just how awful some of the work looked, or how some of the stuff was just an outright botch, never mind something mistimed or whatever. It was just a written description of everything that happened in this match. Like, that's pretty cool, yeah, and that's what that character's doing, and that's that direction.
Tiffany Stratton teasers cashing in.
Quite a lot of them. 10 characters out there, and I would say maybe 6 or 7 of them are involved in pretty hot stories. And in one case, a finish that was designed to set up a pretty major title match that we're going to get, all that sort of stuff. I was like, yep, like this is the Triple H plotting that typically I enjoy. However, there is a low bar to clear in terms of how good I want the work to be, and this fell way short of it.
Oh,
like,
you've been
way short.
It was
of
an absolute disaster.
It was a mess. Like for large quantities, this was a mess as well. We're not just being critical for critical sake here. There was the Io Sky bin spot was a load of fun. Like, of course it was, and the idea of doubling it up with a Tiffany Stratton, like, why not? You've got a big visual spectacle there. Why not do something like that?
Thoughts on Rhea's mask?
I'll just think Rhea looks weird,
like Valhalla,
like weird and cool in this current version of herself. So I didn't mind that.
I like the way she took it off. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the law. It's probably something to do with Buddy Matthews. But like, it should just like, it's like the
metal.
Just look, metal brackets generic.
Yeah,
they're weird and cool. She's a character that can pull that stuff off, so that's fine. Bianca Belair, kind of when permitted to, had her great moments because it's just like she's this impossible, brilliant pro wrestling force of nature, even in spite of so much mess around her, and there was lots of mess here. Bayley and Candice LeRae, this is where I'll be generous, didn't completely fail in their efforts to try and keep this train on the tracks.
Yeah, it did.
But even then, it was still a mess in all the moments that I feel like I want to let Sidge luxuriate in for the most part. But I will say the storyline wise, I don't think this neglected things one bit.
I like when they put the toilet seat on her head and rubbed a bum in her face.
Perfect example. Thank you, Wilborn. Yes, you've illustrated my point. No, I really, really wish the action was stronger.
The right result at the end, super riptide to pin Liv Morgan.
I don't sense that this was such a... this is where the wrestling not being that tied to anything in world wrestling entertainment is sometimes a benefit. Like, the action was trash.
Absolute trash.
And it will not have an impact on how boiling hot a lot of the stuff on Raw and SmackDown. Well, it genuinely will not.
Yeah.
There are some good directions in this division, and most of them were this match was quite faithful to them. It itself was a nightmare of pro wrestling performance art.
Yeah. It was nightmarish, this. And if you don't care about the characters and think they're completely artificial, and if you think the plotting is just there, if this match was shorter, or if certain things happened in a shorter match, I'd been delighted with this. I thought it would have been really funny. And it was. It's happening to go, how long?
38 minutes or something.
Yeah, 38 minutes and 15 goddamn seconds. Jesus Christ. The worst worked match of the year.
I was going to say, where does it sit there? Because I think Jay and Jimmy's still worse.
Jay and Jimmy look like Brett and Owen compared to this in terms of the work.
I thought that was so criminally boring for how over those characters are and for the stage and the setting.
I guess there's an expectation.
That's a Bloodline Saga match, what we saw.
Oh my God, a Bloodline Saga match.
Yes, Sidge, the money drawing.
I don't care how much money it draws.
I got to say all the goddamn time. The star-laden, era-defining storyline. It is, whether you like it or not. It is, and this
I would never argue that.
You just did. Deep in the.
I didn't argue it.
All right, calm down. Deep in the middle of the Bloodline. Deep in the middle of the Bloodline stuff. And when I said Bloodline, you were like, "Oh, Bloodline, Your Majesty."
No, I didn't go Bloodline, Your Majesty. Oh, you said, it's a Bloodline match. Oh my God, is it going to go 25 minutes of absolutely nothing? A ref bump, a barricade.
No, you know what I'm saying? A Bloodline match has a certain
tedium
aura around it because of the how much it's focused upon and how big it's been.
I know how big
that's
the Bloodline
way
is.
bigger than this.
I know that. I'm saying the Bloodline matches,
which is a bigger failure. You should like this, but the
Bloodline matches are generic and not good.
And then they get the best. They go from generic rubbish, boring a lot of the time, to amazing, best thing going in wrestling. It's.
We've got different tastes.
Yeah,
we've got very
He's
different.
Preaching to the choir here,
but that is the pattern when it's good. That's the pattern. Is by the end you're like, this is unbelievable.
I watched Tribal Combat and knew that it wasn't going to be very good.
Tribal Combat. Yeah, this is the Jey Uso Hall of Stinkers. That was bad as well.
It's the worst.
I think this.
I said, didn't say most disappointing.
Yeah,
worst worked. Here's the thing, Jay and Jimmy. I don't even think their super kicks are very good.
That's it. It all look bad.
They lean back and they compare and I know one's more popular than the other. Compare the thrust element of Shelton Benjamin's super kick to the Usos. There's no thrust. They basically headbutt the ground and then stick the leg out and kind of kick. Kind of kick.
Like the noisy gear.
And then bang, as loud and as obviously as you like the thigh. So I'm not standing up for the work. I'm just saying that there was terrible work in Jimmy versus Jay, and the worst work you might have ever seen in elements of this women's WarGames match. So there's one bit I'm going to single out, and it is Nia Jax who starts the match wet. I want to as well. I need to point out Nia Jax just had an excellent, very simple but excellent for what it was match against Bianca Belair on Raw, preceding.
Yeah, terrific plunder match with Michin on SmackDown as well. Like a total over delivery.
She did everything you need to do as a heel. She was smiling. She's got a great heel face. And then slowly the baby face gets into it, and she's like, well, I need to cheat here. This won't do. And then she cheats against, God, aren't I great? And then she gets meaner and nastier and just cheats more by getting that braid and just hiding her into the ring steps. Like, if you don't watch WWE, I would honestly check that out.
Yeah.
If you keep up with it via this podcast, that is I'll miss it when heels are heels. Watch that match.
I think she's had an okay year, and then
she's not she's an absolute Turcarino. She's a specialist in Turcarinos. So there's this spot, right, the sequence where Nia Jax, who starts the match, which is ridiculous. It should be, if you had a clue what you're doing, Paul. She comes in at the end, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. All of this spirited comeback stuff from the baby faces, all for naught. Look who's coming down the ring. Now, she starts the match, and it's the slowest, most sluggish thing you've ever seen, and it gets even worse. So she starts with Bayley, and then Naomi comes in. Naomi's not very good at all. Like, not very good at all. And there's this when Candice LeRae comes in, and they do the exact same thing in the men's match, which is not helpful at all when you've got two matches that are the same genre, that total about an hour and a half in length. They do the same spot where, you're not going in, I'm going in. Candice LeRae beats Tiffany Stratton, and yes, it feeds this bang average program on a SmackDown pamphlet. Candice LeRae, chair into the ring. And she looks for something else, and, Nia Jax gets a chair. And like a complete and utter dumbass, lifts it up to hit Naomi over the head with it. And Naomi's like, dumbass, that doesn't fly here. Don't do that. And Nia Jax is like, oh yeah, sorry about that.
It's wild.
Naomi's like, well, I don't want a chair shot to the head. First of all, you'll get in trouble if you do that. So sorry. What a heel. So
Trouble games.
So it's like, it's one thing, right? It's one thing, and it's Dax Harwood did it, and it's fine. And then Tama Tonga did it, going for the pin in WarGames. It's just total muscle memory. I can't do that yet. That's fine. To swing a chair in the direction of someone's head in WWE, how is that your instinct? Nia Jax debuted 5 years after it was banned?
Yeah.
She started training after it was banned, so that's absolutely terrible. So Naomi was like, don't do that. And she's like, oh yeah, sorry, my bad. And then just the most limp, makes Hogan look like Masato Tanaka with the way that she goes, across Naomi's back. She's already been told. It's like dealing with my toddler. Not toddler, small child. A 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. They're still in that phase where it's like, can you do this? 1 second later, don't do this. I'll say it. It was 1 second, You're gonna be personal best is that you're gonna go half a second before you disobey me. So she, like a 6-year-old child, she has been told, don't hit me in the head with a steel chair. How do you even know how to do that? You started training after that was a no-no. So she goes over to Bayley. Bayley's kind of on her knees and not doing that. Hit my back then. Pose. Nia Jax still goes for her head. And Bayley's like, you just got told this 2 seconds ago. All right, my bad.
Dink.
Some of the worst stuff you'll ever see was in this match.
Yeah.
The worst worked match of the year.
But the right result.
Yeah. nice looking finish, you know.
Yeah,
but
baby faces are meant to like win and be powerful.
On that, I really hate that they do this. Just let the heels win both matches, right? So you have to do this thing where it's always 1-on-1, and whenever in the match where the baby faces have got the advantage.
That's why Nia started, I think.
The game
structurally a disaster
the game
because of the whole
Triple H
heel baby face thing, just in case we didn't put that across.
Such a cerebral assassin thinks I can work around this situation that I've created for myself by booking it. So he does this thing where the heels gain physical dominance in the match, so that by the time the baby faces who have the advantage are making their entrance one by one, it's like, oh, she's coming in to save the day because their babyface, her teammates have been beaten down with an advantage. And it's just, you are reminded one after another. I think the Nia Jax thing, well, I know because obviously we saw it play out with Liv Morgan, but I think the two things they were going for with Nia Jax going in first, fatal error, but was the idea that you can simultaneously have her as this monster. God, you thought you were in bother. Now you're in the cage with her, but that Raquel Rodriguez was still to come.
Yes, exactly. That's why I think they did it.
You know, if you've got sort of the very
that's bad.
The very first.
It was
Survivor
bad.
Series,
I did think it was bad.
the first Survivor Series put One Man Gang and King Kong Bundy on the same team as Andre the Giant. And the idea is, well, you can kind of eliminate the nearly big guys because the biggest one's just waiting. And I think that was the idea with Raquel Rodriguez. There's a giant already in there, but you weren't ready for this one. And then she the bed something fierce. And it was
real bad.
We're kind of relying on our Iron Woman giant to do the work here because Raquel's having a terrible night. So it's we ain't got a chance here. What are we going to do, Brick? And then...
Yeah, you mind robot.
And then...
Put a Nia Jackson voice.
And then Liv Morgan, saved as the the last heel, asked to be both a coward and yet the last heel coming in to save her heel friends from a babyface numerical advantage. It's a bit of an uphill climb, isn't it?
And shatter his ribs that plays no impact in the finish.
With a baseball bat, repeated baseball bat attack that is just neglected. A minute and a half later when Rhea makes the comeback.
Powers up to get the riptide on the finish.
So much of this is a trap that Triple H lays for himself. Booking too. And, do a better job with the women's division, and maybe next year your women's one will be over enough that can have the WarGames and the men just don't need it. Book one on the show instead of two and go with the story that's the hottest. It should be the same as the WrestleMania main event. And, it speaks to Triple H that we've not really had that in the conversation since he's been around either. But the idea was you go back to 37 and you're absolutely the show should close with Bianca and Sasha. No doubt, and it did. And Becky and Ronda and whatever. And just get to the point where that division... And he can book them. He knows how to get to these WarGames matches. So the idea is if you've made enough of these characters over, by the time you hit in November, the hard bit is the easy bit to you, which is making all five of them organically come together for a big cage match. Do that, make it the main event, and give it to the women so there is some parity, there is some representation, there is the veneer of equality. Don't keep doing two, and don't feel like, even if you are doing two, well, they've got to be different. Otherwise, these fans are going to be like, wait a minute, it's the same. And it's yep, it's the same.
Let's move on to the United States Championship match. It was L.A. Knight.
No. From the moment he came out.
With boo. Face. I was about to say that. I was watching that going.
You all right, mate?
He dropped the title as well at one point.
He sure did.
Against Shinsuke Nakamura.
Well, everybody's saying.
He was dragging that belt.
Nobody was saying strap him up.
He was dragging that belt to the ring like it was a piece of luggage he was glad to be getting rid of. And then when he drops it on the floor, almost as if I'm going to go back anyway.
Didn't fancy it anyway.
Never fancied it once, in fact. Probably good to get a shot of it before the Rumble, if anything. So,
I did say this was going to happen on our preview. I
just couldn't believe it.
Put it on
it's the second one I was we had the Ethan Page, and you were like, yeah, but would you put a pasty bet on this one? I was like, all right, yeah, that's where I draw the line. It's happened.
And they blew their load with the mist on SmackDown.
I'm glad somebody came. Because no pop. That's right. So LA Knight comes on, this match was just there in the most. This match was just there way imaginable.
Especially with what followed.
There is no spike of excitement. If you try and do the graph right of Think of a good film. Inciting incident. Like a good match. Inciting incident. Heat. Combat. It's like meant to be like spikes. There is no emphasis to any story beat. There's just nothing there. A move. Fire-up-y thing. A move. A fire-up. But like, it doesn't feel, nothing feels like it's emphasized. You know, it's very bizarre in this cut. Like the match was, absolutely nothing to say about this match.
I'll give them a point because they actually went outside the one ring.
It's like, a second ring.
I was like, here we go. Oh, it was just
maybe we'll do the lean over the mist. Not even that. You had missed on SmackDown.
Yeah,
no more missed.
I didn't realize I hadn't seen SmackDown. Then I went back and I was like, oh,
sprays his forehead.
Did you see Defiant LA Knight? See, there's that move where he's on the middle turnbuckle, he pops back up to the top and then does an elbow.
Yeah.
Like, he came out swinging at certain detractors about how he botches or whatever. I go, f it up now. I was like, well, you kind of do it in every other match. Maybe if you did it once, it's like when Danielson goes, I don't ever f up. Like, Danielson can give it the biggin. LA Knight can't give it the biggin. LA Knight can't work good matches. I was astonished at this result. Astonished. If you look at the pattern, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Christ, he's back and he looks like this. And they've got so many over wrestlers. They've got a lot of wrestlers who were kind of really over and on the wayside. What's this going to achieve? What was the mentality?
Well, I predicted it rooted in the fact that the character had too much behind it to lose, and the match getting booked for Survivor Series was the shock. I thought of, like, if this character's been completely rebadged to lose to LA Knight, it is at least making it to Saturday night's main event or the Rumble or something like that. And they're going to give Nakamura and LA Knight the loop over Christmas or whatever, and like he's going to get the advantage on television and then slip back down the mid card or whatever. But the fact that this match was booked the Survivor Series did telegraph the title change, and yet so
it was inconceivable that they would do it.
The certainty was that the match was going to stink, because at the moment,
sub 10 minutes as well, this match.
Like, and it felt longer.
Yeah.
Like, on SmackDown, you look at someone like your boys at the moment, Andrade and Melo, right? If you off the back, and it's not just Whalebone, off the back of a series, I've liked it, not loved it, but there have been moments. There have been real moments in that.
Some people are saying it's feud of the year.
Yeah, you.
Sorry, yeah, I've mentioned that.
Many people are saying it.
Like, there have been flashes in those matches that do call back to the prior matches. And it's like there is a modicum of thought going in, and then with Andrade and Melo, like, sometimes the work is great, right? So you think, well, there's two.
Oh my God, his bump from the disaster kick.
Yeah.
On SmackDown.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Just
ultimate nonsensical show-off thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hayes still doesn't do it anywhere near enough, I think, for some of the praise he gets. I think that's fair.
That bump was absolutely atrocious.
Andrade, probably marginally better, but also
ultimate show-off. Like, you've got nothing. Stop thinking you've got something.
But there are talents, I guess, that have had more investment placed in them over the last 6 months, over or not, and it's just quite unusual for this version of WWE to bring back and it is just rebadged. Like, I don't want to be cruel to Nakamura or anything, but it's not.
Stinks.
It's not like he's not gotten any better. It is just.
I was baffled by that.
Different attire and some tweaked theme music and all that kind of stuff, and he's got the belt now. It's I think the loss coming out of nowhere is for LA Knight's benefit heading at the Rumble, maybe. Like, but the manner in which he did business and the unknown ceiling without that United States title, I wouldn't exactly classify him as in like a favourite or a WrestleMania singles match guy. So it's hard to.
He had one that he's peaked.
It's hard to figure out where he fits going into next year's WrestleMania. But I think in their mind they're like, well, this like a flash title change doesn't really go on anymore when you kind of don't expect it out of somebody, and it has done. And it's the idea maybe LA Knight loses the rematches on the house shows or wins by DQ or whatever, doesn't get the belt back while they're in the process of finding like who they actually want to transition this belt onto.
I'm thinking Penta or Joe Hendry. There's got to be a reason why.
Maybe. Nakamura is a transitional champion.
Yeah,
isn't he?
100%.
He's got, and that's in their minds. They're probably thinking this was worth a bit of creative investment in making this new character because it's the way to justify him doing it. Like if you brought random house show Shinsuke Nakamura back, they'd be like, well, "That's what have you done to LA Knight there?" In their minds, they're going, "That's different. He's a better Shinsuke than ever."
You got a new hat.
Yeah, you're telling me that, but none of this shows me that at all. Yeah,
that guy's no good.
Let's instead talk about the IC title match.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This was the stuff.
Quite right. Triple threat. Braun Breaker, your champion. Sheamus, always the bridesmaid. And Ludwig Kaiser. Braun Breaker's the best, isn't he?
It might well be, you know. This had it all. I think it's underselling.
And shoulder tackle.
Like the short,
It's insane.
the shoulder and beautifully shot as well to
Yes.
make it so you can't see the cannon off screen that he's being shot.
I was going to say, did they leave
It looked like,
Sin Cara's spring trampoline?
because it cuts to the point where he's jumping out of midair rather than springing off the ground. That would be impressive, and we know that to be true because one of the spears in this match was one of the springing off the ground. You know, when like it's shooting it from. Like, it's one of the only times where you see the spear as if you were going to be speared by him.
Yeah.
Well, that's a horrifying angle. Gee, imagine being a wrestler. I think it undersells a match like this to simply put it over as
Braun Breaker show.
hard. Yeah, the Braun Breaker show, the hard-hitting match, because even hard-hitting matches now are playing out to silence, or like Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser are starting to feel a little bit try-hard and a little bit boring on TV. It's more
Then he
than,
twats him with a shillelagh.
yeah, it's more than that though. Like
That near fall, which led to the shillelagh
God.
onslaught, was unbelievable.
This was really, really well agented. This is like, I really do want to put over like the construction of this match, because we said, and like I was hoping as well, the three-way was going to be the perfect dynamic for the getting the best of the Sheamus Kaiser physical chemistry, but in a way that's actually over.
Exciting.
Rather than feeling like it's drab. Like Breaker is this like agent of, it's weird. He's an agent of chaos with those two, but he's otherwise in complete control of his own domain. And he like manages that well as well. He's like, he is the one bringing, it's weird. In one sense, it's almost like he's the veteran, because he's the one bringing all the star power and all the like, just that aura and that presence to this. Two guys hitting each other really hard. And because of that, that kind of allows you like bask in all of a sudden the glory of the hard hitting of a Sheamus and Kaiser. And Kaiser, for the first time, well, not the first time, but on this big occasion for Ludwig Kaiser, looking like he belongs there. And Sheamus feeling like the warhorse that he wants to portray about himself, you know?
Where he rose up from behind the barricade. And Ludwig Kaiser was just a cocky twat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, looks like I got nope. And then I think Brom got involved there as well.
I love the bit like when he goes for the beats the Bodron and Bron's like, we're not mates.
Yes.
Dickhead.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, he dropped him, didn't he? Early on.
Like Sheamus is this guy who at this point is just, we talk about this all the time, has got like all this credit in the bank with people, especially over the Intercontinental title. It's a cheat code, but a really fantastic detail that like they've inserted into these Sheamus matches now. It's all about how you perform in that role. He has to show a bit of arse as like this like Terry Funk wizened character, and he's what, like 5-6 years older than the rest, really?
Yeah.
You know, I know he's got like his bump card's been like double treble stamped over the years, but nonetheless, he's not that much older, but he's got to portray that a little bit. So he's got these moments of like where he kind of like really should be a bit smarter, and he's saying, you cannot trust Braun Breaker, Sheamus. He's going to kill you just like he's going to kill Kaiser. Like
But then again, Seth Rollins was like, I've had it at it the other time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he's got a history of like, everyone, if we all agree we hate this guy, and Braun does hate Ludwig Kaiser.
Sheamus goes in hard, and then he sells being like knackered really well. Like he
He's always
looks
dripping with sweat, isn't
so battle worn by the end, and then the last thing you need when you're battle worn is just like a human rocket launcher coming out.
I got a bit of, it's a bad person to reference. Remember Brock when he, first match back, Cena's climbing the ropes and he just goes, what if I just run up these steps and jump at you?
That's Braun Breaker does that multiple times in one match.
Yeah.
It's usually when they're on the he's on the apron and they're on the table, and it was both of them this time. He just all went, ugh.
This was capital G great. Check it out if you only sort of experience WWE via these pods. So well constructed. I still maintain Braun Breaker is the best explosive hot tag guy, high spot merchant, as opposed to someone I can see really headlining a WrestleMania and being the Cody, the Cena. I don't think he's that. I really don't.
Triple threat for a world title at WrestleMania. They put him in.
Yeah. Whenever he's not asked to do that flowing singles match where if you're a master craftsman, you can keep the crowd engaged in every second. I don't think he's that. You put him in positions to succeed, which they don't always, because sometimes they make him do back and forth, back and forth. Wolf Dogs, his hot tag was just absolutely out of this friggin' world. This triple threat where he's just a bit of... Michael Cole called him a flying missile. they all fly. That's but he was a missile.
Yeah.
He's got shot out of a cannon.
He is one of those people, and you have to.
This stuff just blew my mind in this match.
You have to categorize it differently because you have to see Cody live for a very different reason. You have to see Commander live, for example, for a different reason. But like, we've been lucky enough to be there to see Bron Breakker wrestle, and you have to be there to see it. You have to be there to see him physically move the ring when he hits the ropes, or just take someone out of their shoes with a spear, whatever it may be.
He's a phenomenon. The guy is a phenomenon. I still don't think he's got it at the top level, but if you put him in these absolutely exhilarating, explosive mid-card sideshows, the dude is a total star, a freak. He's unbelievable to watch when he's positioned to succeed.
And it was weird, the finish, because you know, like when Randy used to be like, oh, I'm going to RKO you, and you're like, well, you're definitely not hitting an RKO here. I know what had gone on previously with Ludwig sort of fed into it, but the bit where it was like, Bron's firing up, he's going to spear him, I was like, cool, match is over. It's definitely over here, because he's just going to take him and destroy him as if he wasn't already done him by the shillelagh attack.
I love that about these Bron Breakker matches as well, because now it's gone the other way. It used to be that way, and then what happened was the era of like finisher reversals just became the norm, or like counter when you think the match is over, and it's like, oh, actually, you thought you were in the last minute and a half. There's 3 or 4 more minutes on top, and there was a period where that was it was like the cheat code for the most exhilarating matches. Some practitioners were far better than others. Bron Breakker is a reversion to the first one. Like, the spear is being set up, and he hits it, and he wins.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Like, there's a sense of devastation around it if you're caught in that position. It's
especially because the spear's been reversed over the years so many times.
This is it. Like it's a good... Seth Rollins' pedigree in Roman was a really great example, because it made you realise, God, I've seen so many people run into posts over the years, and that was an actual move that could put somebody down as their mid-spear. Yeah. Like, Bron Breakker, you don't have time to let Bron Breakker hit that steel post, and that's an advantage they've got with him. This was magic. You're probably right, Sidge. I was thinking like a word.
Bron plus 2 is the formula.
I was trying to think of
Bron plus at least 2.
He's like a supreme work rate Jim Neidhart, just waiting to find a Brett, innit?
Oh, yeah.
Like, but I kind of want to root for him to that top single spot anyway.
What does Bron in like a 5-person match look
like?
No, you know, the cheat code for WWE.
Be amazing.
Anyway, it reminds me of Matt Steele's.
Bron in it. It was the anniversary. Was it the anniversary, or we're coming up to the anniversary of the 6-man Hell in a Cell Armageddon?
Yeah.
Imagine him in that.
Jesus.
Brilliant. Do that instead of WarGames next
year. Yeah. So Matt Steele, as I said, sent us a lovely email. Thank you, Matt, for this. He said, hello, I just got home from attending Survivor Series with my younger brother. I thought I'd give you a few notes from somebody who's in the building for the show. Talks about how over War Pigs was and how it really set the mood for him, who's not really a WWE guy. It does say War Games are definitely more entertaining in the building than at home, but they still suffer from the 30 minutes while everyone enters the cage. LA Knight was over in the building, but I feel like the crowd was quietly rooting for Nakamura to win, but I wanted to read this part. I'm not sure how this came across on TV, but Bron Breakker flew, as in was fully airborne and horizontal to the ground, at least half the length of the ring for that spear.
That's what it looked
Incredible.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
And the right result, obviously.
Yeah.
But a good near fall for Sheamus, even though we all knew that's not the moment he's going to win the IC
This is the best
title.
possible version of itself. Check it out if you don't watch the Fed usually.
The Gable push was going so well last year that I sort of thought, we'll head towards that. And obviously that fed into Sammy. But up until that point where that Gable thing came alive, I was thinking, it's Sheamus and Gunther. One more time for the belt, Sheamus. We're back here again. It's WrestleMania season, and I'm once again fantasy booking Sheamus into the IC spot. Yeah. Like, he's held on to that since... Clash 22, realistically?
Yeah.
Like, that's been his.
2.5 years.
Right, let's talk about the match that Matt described as the designated piss break match. The World Heavyweight Championship between Gunther and Damian Priest. I mean, we went into this match saying that they told a great story, obviously, highlighting
I didn't
Gunther's...
say that, but you two said it.
Gunther's mental fragility now.
Yeah.
But none of us were ever going to buy Damian Priest actually winning this
Better
one.
character arc than story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just okay. And I don't know. I don't know why I've got it in me to sort of like defend the Damian Priest title reign. It's just because I think it was like far from a disaster. I just think it's
very good.
It's okay to take a punt at somebody and then accept that they're not maybe like world championship material.
You did that throughout the entire new generation.
Indeed, I did. You continue to do it with Hangman Page. It's fine. We've all got our favourite. No, like, but it's some...
It's a main character.
Yeah. This match was kind of that...
Took that personally, didn't he?
That reality check. I think it's nice for somebody in AEW.
Days off.
Somebody in AEW to have main character syndrome.
It's a new generation.
I'm going to watch it tonight again as well. I just watch it all the time.
Doesn't need any invitation.
No. Benoit Hamlet in your house, now available.
Oh, yeah, do check that out.
Damien... well, you can pick your favourite and come on. Like, it was just fine, and I would have... This is the problem. I really like the build on television. And I would have liked this match more if it had a different build.
Yeah.
Because then they hit this body part stuff, and Damien Priest was really good at selling it, and Gunther was finding his confidence again because he'd found a weak spot. And I really liked how they got to where they got to in this match. Not sure how much it was joined up to the stuff on TV to get to a Finn Balor interference finish. Like there were all like it's like a bunch of separate component parts that I would have been like, yeah, all right, and then I would have been a bit pissed off that it's like, well, Finn Balor again. Like that's how you're ending this.
It feels like they'd heard people say, I was one of the people saying it, I thought the Gunther match was Damien Priest's best title defense or title match. And they went, oh, cool. What was the big thing about that? Finn Balor interference. That was it. Like, that was spectacular in that match. Because it was don't do it again.
It was a breakup of a stable. Like SummerSlam was the night the Judgment Day fell apart. It was all part of
Street Trash took over.
Yeah, a bigger thing. Street Trash's night.
I fell off.
Yeah, like it just wasn't joined up with the story they told on TV. I
liked Gunther kicking Finn. That was funny.
Nobody in a million years.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Nobody in a million years will watch this match ever again, right? But if they ever do, I think it'll be just fine out of context because it's like, oh, this is what Gunther used to do. He'd have these world title matches where he would just pick his opponents apart, he'd spot a weakness and he'd target it and he'd win. And that's what you got out of Gunther.
If you watch this in a vacuum, you would never know you had like
confidence issues at all.
Yeah.
So just fine, but a bit weird. And I really didn't like that. Like I liked Gunther going for Finn Balor, but I didn't like that it was a Finn Balor interference finish at all.
But you left.
Yeah, a real groan.
A but you left finish on a match that was never real. It was a but you left finish for a match that was never conditionally goated.
No.
We don't do bits. No. I just thought
we don't speak completely in code at this point.
Yeah, I just watched this and thought, it's odd. And I'd never want to see Finn and Priest again.
We're getting it.
And now I watch the TV program, Dave. I think the direction's going to be Damien Priest versus Finn Balor. Is it?
You're getting on your show as well. It's going to be Saturday night's
Dynamite.
Saturday night's main event, I think.
Saturday, that's my show. That's my show.
Until these two show up.
Post-match attack, didn't they? That was footage of all that later on.
That's my show. Hopefully I'll get one next year.
Could it be the new one for AEW? What's that again?
Oh, bloody hell, an actual electric eel. Shockwave.
Shockwave, is it? I suppose they've got lovely oceans there. Is it based in Australia?
Well, no, because they did the old downsized ski. Brisbane, because the problem is that with AEW in Australia, of course,
they've got no f***ing mates.
Got no f***ing fans. You want some? You want some tickets? We've got lots of sale. I'll give it you.
The Wilson scalper.
Right. Let's get to this main event.
Oh my God.
I think
Unpress.
My favourite button is unpress.
My favourite modern WarGames match, I think this.
Agree.
I loved it.
Yeah, agree.
I loved it. And I think obviously it's the cheat code because you look at the people involved and, Tongolo as well. But I just, from the what was hang on, Matt's explained this for us, and just in case we're unaware, the Sunday Night Football introduction to themselves.
Yeah.
All that, all the pomp and ceremony of all that, of course.
That, which, by the way, was this a bit? And like we've said before, there's a few things Tongaloa has done. Like a way he held a belt up. It was like, if WWE like come up with like, we'll make Tongaloa do the thickest thing, right?
Yeah.
He's just not good.
I know, right? But they did these introductions and they're pre-taped. So if you get one wrong, it'd be do it again, right? A lot of them is like University Hard Knocks or whatever. It's
best in the world.
Yeah, I'm the best at it. Tongaloa was like, I don't know what it was. Georgia State. Like, it was, we don't mean you shoot education, mate.
He's the Sean Stasiak of the New Bloodline. Yeah, maybe. And then they come out of the New Bloodline come out and they're all united and they go into the cage and what have you. And then I just was fascinated from that. I was like, okay, what order's it going to be?
Yeah.
And it was Sammy first.
Sammy, then Big
Sammy
Jim.
first, then Big Jim, and then like Punk's music hit. And I was like, Punk third. Punk comes out. Pie faces. Was it Bronson Reed went for? And then was like, let's go.
Brilliant.
Completely improvised by reports anyway.
They pushed so far forward. Imagine if they'd like tipped the mini cage over because they're all just like raised. Brilliant.
Get him.
Great stuff.
Then Roman comes out, and there's the whole. Watch the cinema that was their meeting on SmackDown, of course.
I will kill you.
Right.
If you applied every technical aspect and the level of acting, the quality of acting to a motion picture, it would comfortably be one of the worst films ever released.
I mean, obviously the Cody Roman thing was probably the Oscar-worthy stuff this year, but this is, Emmys, daytime Emmy or something. So anyway, disregarding all that, there's the awkward.
I just want to say one more thing. The conversation was: does this belong in wrestling? Would it be better in the ring? That is one conversation. You can also have a conversation about the thing, even if I would have preferred an in-ring promo. And in fact, I don't like these overtly cinematic leanings. It was bad on those terms in and of itself. Terrible, terrible. I have learned some fancy tricks, therefore I'm going to do all of them, even though they are poorly applied. I hated that. I had something else to say about how much I hated this. Oh, bring it on, do more. WWE are doing this realistically. Yes, Borash has done this in his career and stuff, right? But they're leaning into it and doing more of it because you got to give the fans what they want. And they see them cinema. I never said I was Kurosawa, but they're seeing it. That's what Levesque says.
That's what he says.
That's a direct quote. Do more of it.
The Levesque producer himself.
Yeah. Do more of this, please, because it's bad, and they are being encouraged to do it. I like a laugh. I like the laugh just like the next guy. I want to see more of this. Go on. They're asking for cinema. Give them some more cinema, please.
If they ever do like a Friday night at the movies special where it's just an entire night of cinema, like a go-home show or something. Like no matches.
Oh my God.
I liked it. We were having a bit of a chat because like we disagree with it, but it's amazing we can. Like the
Such an asshole.
because people couldn't. It was stupid how people couldn't. You can absolutely not like it.
I liked it. I didn't like it.
Absolutely fine to share your thoughts.
Really poorly done.
I loved it. My main point was very much an admin thing. There was people saying you should have done that in the ring. And my argument was, no, you shouldn't, because I'd rather watch that we saw on SmackDown than see somebody's phone footage because it was a taped SmackDown.
I'd rather watch something good.
And I'm thinking I'm getting both because I like this thing and it's good. You couldn't have done the favour stakes deal unless you'd done it in the ring on the tape SmackDown.
Do like a Jim Ross sit down.
You could. Oh, you don't. Yeah, this was
a better option.
This was a silly option of a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It was cheesy as out. It was daft. It was like wrestlers can't act.
They get exposed in that setting.
Yeah, the wrestlers cannot act.
CM Punk's an actor though, so
even the better wrestling actors are terrible.
Punk was trying to do his usual. Oh, his stuff sounds real, actually, and even that setting overwhelms even that.
Disagree, but that's fair enough.
And I loved it, and it dropped this enormous and kind of captivating hook about the favour.
Oh, that was good.
And
that was good.
Which was like a really telegraphed the finish a little bit, but like it just was this absorbing little thing that then played out over and over again between Punk and Roman because of their different reasons for both wanting to win and how much were they willing to, how far would they go for each other based on what we now know. I loved it. And I think like Sidge is right, they will go too far. It's WWE. They will always find what works and they'll do it over and over and over again. And for the people that do hate it, you will reach a point where this eats itself. And then we've all won because like we've had fun on the journey and you get to have fun at the destination. That's the reality. But if it's this and Roman and Cody, am I forgetting one? I feel like there's been another one that's drawn this much sort of discussion for just how like overtly daft and just cinematic it is. I can't think of another
early
one.
predictions for Oscar nominees. Let me do that.
But like, so say there's been 2 this year, right? There'll probably be there 4 next year.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For example,
The Rock's coming back, so
and The Rock will be in all of them. No, like The Rock will be in one or something like that.
You want acting?
He gets wrestling.
Yeah, maybe.
You want an acting masterclass? It's right there, baby.
I had loads of fun with this, but there will be a point where it like becomes fodder for the mid-card to use or programs that don't really warrant it. They are at the moment showing you stars that are simply on a, like, this is the contemporary equivalent, Sidge, we love this, contemporary equivalent of Hogan and Warrior being positioned as stars in the galaxy, the WrestleMania 6 intro. It's 2024 and it's that. That would now scan as kitsch. This is kitsch, but it's sort of like, it's how you present it. It's like, this is bigger than life. This isn't even wrestling. This isn't even sports. It's bigger than the world around you. That's how big these guys are. Only these can exist in this ridiculous rarefied air. There will come a point where like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano's fallout will feature a sit-down meeting or something with a Motor City Machine Gun. Like, then you've absolutely knackered it. But like, I think it actually reminds you that these stars are massive. I think as long as it's just kept to the top guys.
It reminded me that they're not as good as you think they are when they're acting, because this is putrid.
I think the WWE hierarchy works differently to that. Like, I'm not saying that you're not wrong. You're not wrong about the performances either. But I think the WWE hierarchy tells you biggest stars. Like, you're not letting. I like Tama Tonga. You're not letting Tama Tonga in this room because he's not at that level yet.
I'll meet you halfway. I thought the Cody Roman one, as terrible as it was, thank you, Jeremy Borash, at least just like all the cars and stuff, it felt like a big time thing. This is two knackers in a room doing straight to video
with Paul Heyman. Your least favorite guy of all time.
His facial expressions are the absolute pit. You know, if you look carefully, he's doing something with his face. Well, it's in close up. It's not even in the background like Paul Levesque's Raw skits. If this was like, at least that one was budgeted. The Roman Cody thing, with all the cars and all that. It looked like big deals. They were just doing straight to video in a room, these lads. It was pathetic.
Anyway, so Roman and Punk have this moment before they go into the cage.
Shut up. It looked bad.
Jey Uso comes out last.
Feel bad.
Matt says Jey was incredibly over in the building, on par with Roman and Punk, if not slightly more, which tells you everything you need to know.
This program has been the latest making of him, this Bloodline reunion, because it's the
I reckon he could singles headline Mania, Jey Uso.
I think so. It's the opposite of what happened to Roman when he got sidled with The Rock. It's like, oh, you're a number 2 guy now. Jey's not experienced that next to Roman.
And Jey and...
Says a lot about Roman.
Maybe.
Jey and Tama, who was climbing across the cage, start the match off. Early on, they introduced Jacob Fatu.
Oh my God.
I mean, you didn't need the WarGames advantage with a Jacob Fatu in there. It was amazing.
Great night for him.
Yep.
As much as I didn't like the match, a great night for him.
Jey and Jimmy teaming up. And then, obviously, the image that I've done quite a clever bit.
Don't have a lot of time.
Clever bit of comedy with on social media at Adam Wilborn. If you want to, you might not get it.
Relate.
Might not get it. It's not for everyone. But if you clued in, check out my tweet. You might get the little subtle messages that I'm leaving on there.
Wilborn's tweet is to comedy what WWE is to cinema.
Yeah.
How many likes is it on?
Oh, probably like 10.
Ingrate.
You two both liked it. That's all I care about. Then obviously, there's that moment with Sammy and Punk and Roman, and then the bit with where Roman's like, "Here I go," and Punk's like, "Out of the way, you." Like, yeah. And then they're all in there, basically, Solo and Roman being the last ones to go in. Well, I say Roman to be the last one to go in. I've neglected to mention the bit where Solo locks Roman out, and you think, well, this is the tribal chief. I guess he's not in the match. The match will never start because he can't be asked to do that, and he climbs the cage and what have you. But yeah, I'm talking too much here. You two, give us your thoughts.
Do you know what, though? I think it was worth you sort of doing the order, because that might have been the real making of this match for me. Like, there are a bunch of, with the caveat that you've kind of got to be into it, like super, super dramatic moments that, to go back to our first shoot fight there at the start of this podcast, what these Bloodline matches often are, which is when it gets hot, Jesus Christ, it's just the best thing to watch. Pop after pop after pop, like little mini payoff after mini payoff of all these little stories that they set up on TV. Looks aren't wasted, no matter how...
Guy comes out in a hoodie, ref bump, yada, yada,
no
yada.
matter how
The finish.
no matter how drama it is, when they're absolutely nailing it, it's the best thing around. Best thing in all of wrestling.
You, maybe.
Best thing in all of
When
wrestling.
Punk went under the ring, and
Are you the ombudsman?
Oh, I've got to be the objective ombudsman that this is the best thing in wrestling because the financial say so. But like, no,
when Punk went under the ring, and I was like, what are we doing? We've got tables, we've got chairs, very nice. And he pulls out a toolbox out of there.
Oh my God.
And like that, everyone gets hit with a toolbox, and then Jacob Fatu no sells a face buster on. Like, yeah. And like,
Jacob Fatu's the best, isn't it?
Punk getting to be like cocky for 5 seconds because he's taken out the entire bloodline, and then Jacob's up there to kill him. So what I was going to say, the layout of this match, like, genuinely blew me away because it was like, oh God, what about when we're going to have the Jimmy and Tonga Lower bits? And they're just like, oh yeah, we don't need to do that. There's a diverse mix of wrestlers here to hide the weak and just like make everybody look strong. And
The Weak.
Should
be the nickname. The Weak. Tonga Lower.
Like, the order was tremendous. Like, and you would send in Jacob Fatu early to do damage and patrol
Walk
things.
down
And,
the aisle.
like,
You're gonna kill everyone.
I thought Solo Sikoa was excellent again. I thought like he picked his spots really well. He knew when so after, like, he's finally learned how to register. It's not just the funny promos, it's how to register who he is in matches. And that's a big difference as well, because this was night and day from the SummerSlam match with Cody that was boring for like long portions where it was really dull. Got marginally better in the cage match on SmackDown, and now I think he's really found who he is in his character as a wrestler. That will only benefit him if like they're doing like more singles matches as they kind of carry on this bloodline thing. The Punk and Roman stuff.
Oh my God.
You know, every single one of the moments was amazing. Like, all of them. The stuff in the mini cage was everything I wanted and more. Like, they knew, the giant stars, they knew they were making a meme when they're doing the lean against each side. They knew they were doing it. Like, you are creating, like, little bits of, like, sports entertainment artwork. And they're both brilliant at it, and they know how to do it. So that was all great. The save on the
that was great.
splash.
How did you leave it so long?
Absolutely exhilarating.
I thought, hang on, is Roman's ankle being trapped below this debris? But no, don't split second.
Oh my God!
Timing.
Yeah, and like that's
Roman's timing's always been outstanding.
It was a sort of perfect mix, wasn't it? Of like Punk knowing the peak of the drama, Roman knowing his way around a 2.99 better than most people ever.
Yeah, that was the best
like,
meeting of their two sensibilities.
How do you use these skills for a moment as incredible as that? Get well soon, Bronson Reed. Yeah, had an awesome night as well. I kind of hope he's just a fifth bloodline guy. I hope his reward for the year he's had is being in the bloodline, because that suits everybody, doesn't it? Like, he gets this spot as like a good heater, a good henchman for the stable.
What happened to Jacob Fatu as well? Because I know injuries don't affect him.
Well, this is
He's just like, I think I've broken my leg. Oh, I'll just walk it off, it's fine.
Second PLE this year where it's like, oh God, is he all right? And then it turns out, yes, he is, and he's harder than ever. So I hope his ankle
stabs his leg back into place or whatever.
Yeah. And again, it's WarGames, so the idea is that they're all selling, and it should be taking years off these guys. You know, that's the point of WarGames, isn't it?
Jimmy going, do I still do this?
There was a couple of, and maybe like some of this extended to the press conference, and it reminds you, it's a bit real, but then that's kind of what makes Punk captivating. Like, it's a little bit like real, like edginess with him and Sami Zayn. I was always looking for eye contact, and I wasn't finding it very often. I quite like that, because I was like, they could hug right now, and it's all very much nice one, job well done. Yeah. I like that because of, you know, the...
See the bit with him and Jimmy doing the handshake, Jay on the floor.
That was great. The twin thing. Yeah, this is what I mean. Every moment hit for me, and I like the arrangement helped. It had a bit of plunder, but it never leant too hard on it, and I think the weapon choices made the difference as well, because like when the table comes out, it's for a spot as kind of awesome as that.
Needed more toilet seat for me, but yeah.
Punk like even Punk teasing out the toolbox is the moment where I was like, I'm actually going to help Roman or not. Like, that went down really well in the building.
Yes.
You know, so it was like, I agree with you. My favorite WarGames, and a real credit to sort of someone like a Solo Sikoa, I think, because we're always going to have time to praise Jacob. It's Punk and Roman. Kind of made me feel like they were both working. Like, Punk for me was secure in his WrestleMania main event. Roman was keeping his powder dry in case Rock and Cody take one. It would be Seth Rollins I'd now be worried about if I'm thinking, well, seeing these two, it was the worst weekend for you, mate. But
it was a nice sort of Solo, just sort of last stand. Of like, oh, bollocks.
Yeah, like, I thought it was pretty cool. Well, I've got myself into this mess. I'm going to have to try and fight my way out, and I can't.
Eat everything.
Yeah. Very, very soapy in places, but I think that's genuinely what people are tuning in for and want to see out of this story as well. So I don't even hold that against it when it was a bit dramatic.
Yeah, I'm not a CM Punk guy, not a Bloodline guy. If I was, I would imagine this was catnip for a lot of people. As a match, I mean, it just didn't feel violent. It didn't like it need. I hate to be this boring wrestling dickhead. You're gonna do a match like this. It's like the two extremes. AEW just does too much excess with the weapon. I have this romanticized image in my head of 1992 and 2024 just ain't 1992, and it can't be. one of my things with this match, if you take away the melodrama, that's saved, by the way, and I don't want to be too miserable. It was exquisitely done in terms of how it advanced the Punk Roman story and how, as we just worked out, fusing their sensibilities, what they can bring to the table together brilliantly. Every single time they do that every single time they do that West Side Story spot, it's like, right, okay, well, I didn't have to watch 35 minutes at all. And there's some stuff in the cage, big deal.
Yeah.
Some stuff in the shark cage, whatever, big deal. It's just like, all right, you're all fresh as a daisy, and now it's like, what a waste of freaking time. You could build an amazing near fall around that moment where it's like, when does it officially start?
When the last person enters the cage.
So the cage door shutting.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of everyone doing the West Side Story spot, which, by the way, do they go, I've got a really cool idea? Do they forget that they do it? Or do they just sort of have this resigned acceptance when they're in the production meeting and the agents are there and they're all planning it out or wherever it happens? Yeah, then we'll do the West Side Story bit. Do you think one person, maybe Punk, goes, do we have to? And then one of them, like Hayes or Levesque, goes, yep, it's what the people like to see. It's like, right, okay, whatever. Do they seem to buzz off doing that every year, or is it just a trope and is this a factory? It just makes us sick. Instead of doing that, what you could do is, the heels are 5-on-4 at the point where, or in any decent WarGames match, that makes sense, that's what should happen. What if, right, the heels have got the advantage, these baby faces are just covered in blood and piss, and just all selling by the walls of the cage. What if they could time this spot where the last person in that shark cage, Roman Reigns, is like looking out, oh God, the heels have got it, the heels have got it, the heels have got it. What if like they do like a triple powerbomb because it's Roman? They are mid-powerbomb attempt when that shark cage door opens, and it's like, right, they could do 1, 2, 3 as soon as that cage, like the WarGames cage things, he has to jump over the ropes. And Roman's got the vertical leap. We've seen the drive-by. We've seen his old planches. You could do something amazing with that dramatic device. And no West Side Story, every single time. This idea that Roman Reigns, how's he going to get in the cage? Your rules are escape the cage. You should be climbing if you're a WWE wrestler, if you're going to be in a cage match at some point. If they did this thing where it's, off, all the baby faces are down, we're rattling the cages, Roman stalking it, maybe, and then when he's beating them up, I didn't swear.
No, it's from, yeah.
And it's like, oh, what a badass. They were prowling the cage, rattling it, and he still kicked their ass. Go, Roman. Kind of just didn't do that. He just was like, how do I get in?
That's what he said.
That was dumb. That was dumb. I hate these matches. They're dumb. It's telling. Everyone I know who was online raving about this, like, yeah, best thing of all time. They should probably not do it again next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're talking yourselves into liking it.
I'd welcome a year off WarGames forever, but I'd especially after this year, welcome them taking the year off the two.
You're probably not going to beat this for what it was.
Yeah.
It was really like the fans. For 35 minutes of sat in their ass, but this is possibly in terms of the WWE version, like bang bang, story, spot, triumph. This is what they wanted out of it all along. You've done it. You've kind of done it now.
Triple H has gotten what he wants, I think, out of the WarGames thing, where it's probably like, to be boring and business-like about it, it's possibly to get the Survivor Series back in, well, not back in stadiums, it's never been in stadiums, but you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
The Big Four being in stadiums feels like they want that to be the norm, two-nighter, SummerSlams, all that kind of thing. And like, if you get WarGames as part of the Survivor Series brand, which he's now had for 3 consecutive years, and he would hold WarGames around Survivor Series season in NXT, almost as like an Inception thing, because he was never really happy with his Elimination Chamber. I want WarGames, Dad! And like, you know, in his mind, the two things are just in lockstep now. The gimmick might be enough for them to be like, well, we're going to do a stadium next year, and he's gotten what he wanted. But that's business stuff, artistically. It never feels like a necessity.
No.
The WarGames gimmick. Like, again, if you go into two-nighters, like, you could see a two-nighter Rumble, couldn't you? Because you have the women's on one night, the men's on the other night. Like, who would ever be wanting a two-nighter WarGames because there's one in each division? Never. No. Right there.
I just really like the fact, and I thought if The Rock didn't show up, I'd leave the show really disappointed. And yet they have the finish, great finish to like I say, my favourite WarGames match. And they have the handshake, and everyone's as happy as they can be with the result. And you have the moment with Punk coming out of the cage, having a word with Heyman, and then the moment with Roman and Heyman. And you're waiting for the Rock's music to hit, and instead they do the pose. Just at the last second, Punk's like, I think I'll go to the front for this.
Correct.
Go to sleep. And I was like, oh, well, there it is.
An old mimic of a Shawn Diesel Survivor Series, where he just lurches his body in front of him like, I'm the star.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about The Rock. Truthfully, I was into this, and obviously we talked about it, and there was plenty of speculation that he was going to do the same as Bad Blood and just turned up at the end. I'd completely forgotten about him. Like, I thought, the babyface have
What was the plan after Bad Blood?
I thought he just was near, wasn't he? This is why I've said all year.
He loves it, man, doesn't he?
This is why I've said all year. Triple H is just getting that. Bloodline's a bit rushed. Yep, and we're going to keep rushing like there because someone's coming in January and he's going to do whatever he likes, and I haven't got any say over it. Like there, but he was at a school, I think, for a fundraiser, an hour away. I was like, well, I've got my Muhammad Ali belt, so I guess we're going to steal the show. Who's winning? Cody and Roman. Interesting. They're going on first. Yeah, Punk and Drew going last. No. You see, they've got to win, and then they've got to cut their music and put mine on. I'm the Muhammad Ali World Champion.
Best, isn't he? God,
so that's January I look forward to.
Can't wait.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's going to ruin it, man.
Can't ruin it. Can't ruin it. That's the thing. You can't ruin it.
Yeah,
he had his chance this year.
Triple H books 10 months of the year to try and insulate WWE from The Rock completely destroying it.
Well, anyway, let us know your thoughts on Survivor Series WarGames in the comment section or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
Emma Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Survivor Series review. My thanks to Hamflett, Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.